So, I'm just gonna chat about the changes that have been made in the Office of Student Leadership and the Office of Spiritual Development
Sounds good.
and Convocation in general. Right. So, how do you feel about the changes made about Convo?
Kind of back and forth. I like that they made it longer because last year it was difficult, like especially when it would run over, and then there's so many people that are just trying to get out of lines, and so it just makes traffic a nightmare, just foot traffic. So this year that kind of helps, especially because sometimes we get out early, sometimes we get out right on time, so it's like it changes, but it's difficult. Like if you have a class right after and you get out at 11:45, like the 15 minutes in between classes can be a struggle just because the amount of people. But overall, it's just kind of similar. Plus, I like if I don't have classes before, I like the extra time in bed.
How do you like the round stage compared to the regular stage that was usually up at the front?
See, it depends, because if you have a speaker that's going to use the round stage and walk around, it's nice. Also, because it gives them an opportunity to walk around and see more of how many students there are. But on Friday when the Robertsons came, because they just put them on chairs in interview style, I thought that it kind of alienated
the other side of the room, right?
Yeah, because we could look at it, but we only saw their backs from where we were sitting.
Right.
So, if you're going to do interview style, I feel like the stage should be the normal stage.
Right. I agree. Do you think the time changes were beneficial to the students?
I think the extra time in bed is nice. I think the earliest class being pushed to 8:15 is great. Even though, you still got to get up early and it's still a struggle. I think the hardest part is only having 15 minutes in between classes instead of 20, because if you're going to walk from DeMoss to Green, 20 minutes is needed for that walk. So I just think the amount of time, and then some professors let you out late. So I think it's just the shortening of the time between classes that's difficult. But not having 740s is fantastic. But 815s feel like 740s anyway, so it doesn't change much.
Good point. What is your take on the changes that were made to the Liberty Way? The ones that you know of so far.
I think overall it was good. I think it was good that the school got away from how it was before. I think it's just beneficial, but at the same time, I think there's issues with the clarity of it, and when you take away more of the legalistic aspect of it before, especially with dress code, different RAs are saying different things,
right.
And so I could go to my RA and be is this acceptable? And she could be sure, that's fine, and then another female RA could come up to me and say you're out of dress code. So I think it's great on some things, but I think the lack of clarity makes it difficult.
Do you think, going back to the lack of clarity, with the Liberty Way being more ambiguous, do you think that's going to be beneficial to students, or is that going to be more harmful?
I think it depends on the student. I think some students are responsible, and so the fact that they have a little more leeway, I think it allows them to feel trusted and to really develop their own judgment, with movies they watch and that kind of stuff. I think for students that aren't as disciplined and aren't as I don't want to say responsible, but just not as kind of focused or worried about that kind of stuff. I think it'll be difficult just because they don't know where the line is drawn, and because it's a smudgy line, I think it makes it easier to cross accidentally. You're oh, well, this skirt is mid-thigh, and it's not, but you're just close enough. So I think it's easier to cross the line when it's smudgy than when it's a line. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
Do you like the fact that, moving on to campus community, do you like the fact that prayer leaders are required to go?
I am a prayer leader. Um, so it's been beneficial to me, and I think it's good that they're pouring into the prayer leaders, especially. Um, yeah, overall, I think it's a good thing. Um, I feel more trusted this year than last year with with it and with leading my group, which is always good. And I think it's good that we're poured into in that way. That we're taught instead of just being like, come up with your own lesson plans, like, have fun, good luck, you're on your own.
Right.
And then have to come up with these ideas from scratch. Not that they don't happen and not that like you don't pray about it, but some weeks it's just difficult. And so knowing that we have the recaps is a nice buffer.
Right.
And a nice way to start conversations and keep them going and be like, oh, I'm reading Galatians and this is what we're studying, that's cool. So I think it's a cool way to go about it, yeah.
So you think it's going to benefit all prayer leaders, like when they lead their groups, having this recap to go off of?
Yeah, I do. I think it'll benefit, especially as college students, like we have a lot of responsibilities, and so do prayer leaders. There's just a lot of stuff you have to get done. Like you have to keep on top of your grades and your homework, which is difficult and it's stressful, and you have to study for tests. And like if you have a week where you have like 3 or 4 exams, like it's nice to have the recap so you don't have to add all the time it takes to set up a lesson and plan it out and do something cool. Like I think it takes a little bit of that away. Not that we shouldn't be reading and doing a devotional, but it takes away the pressure of doing all of that and then on top of that having to come up with a lesson plan and do that week after week after week. I think it just burns you out quicker. So I think that helps. I think it'll help.
Overall, do you like the way that the university is headed with their changes in the Liberty Way and with convocation and campus community?
Sort of. I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think what they've done, especially so far this year with Convo, I think it's great. I love having people with different ideas come and speak to us. I think we all should view college as a place where we learn how to think. And we learn how to think and have skills in certain fields. And so I think that Liberty is trying to do that more, and I greatly appreciate it. I think they're trying to get to the point of just having responsible adults here and being like, well, we're all adults, so let's act like it, but still be in a safe environment. And so I definitely like that. So I think overall they're heading in a good direction. I just think it's going to take time before the vision becomes clearer and for the students to embrace it. Not that we're not embracing it, but just that it'll take a little bit longer until we're fully behind it and fully support it and kind of doing what we can to build the school up like we were a little bit before the changes started.
Going back to the Liberty Way and the ethical gray areas, how do you feel about letting students decide like how much physical contact is too much, since kissing is now allowed on campus?
I think it's dangerous. I think people on this campus, all over this campus, male or female, I think there are a lot of lust issues, and so I think not having rules in place doesn't necessarily help those students. I also think it's like your personal responsibility, but then also like if you're going to kiss in a public place, like personally I don't want to see that. Like if you want to kiss, that's fine. You want to kiss on campus, like, sure, go ahead. I'm pretty sure you were doing it before the rule changed. Like we all know it. So on the one hand, it was really creepy, like the couples that would just stare into each other's eyes mad long, and you're like, just kiss already, like stop. But at the same time, like it makes me uncomfortable when couples like kiss and like not just like a but like a full on. It makes me uncomfortable to see that, and so again, if you're responsible, that's one thing, but like for it to be like, okay, now you can have this physical contact, it's like, but okay, that sure, but I don't want to see it, and I don't want it to be acceptable everywhere.
Right. And going to the dress code issues, do you think that the rules for guys and girls are fairly balanced, or do you think?
I don't. I think when the issue is brought up, just in general, even in the church, I think it's focused on women and not on guys, and I think that's a big mistake. I think that women's dress code is so much more like in depth than guy dress code, and I don't know if the Liberty Way has like if the dress code section has a part for the gym, because if so, like they need to like actually back that up, because the people that you see in the gym just aren't in dress code. Like they'll be wearing yoga pants
Right.
or like really tight, and okay, if you want to wear that, but like if you're gonna say that a girl can't wear them, but you're gonna let a guy show up with a shirt that has the sleeves like all the way down, barely connected, like what are you saying?
Right.
Or like swimming, like a woman has to wear a one piece, but a guy can wear shorts and no shirt. Like I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's balanced, and I think it's under the thought that guys are more visual than girls, and
Right.
that's disproved. Like no. Girls struggle with lust just as much as guys, and to have them walk around and be able to show off in that way, but yet if a girl would walk around, it becomes like it becomes a thing.
Right.
Like, so like, if you're gonna allow guys to be shirtless, then you should allow girls to wear a bikini. Like, because you're being unbalanced there, and you're saying that women, it's more important for you to cover up because guys don't have self-control, but you're telling females, I don't know where I was going with that. I totally lost my train of thought, but it's just unbalanced, and it's still under the thought that women don't struggle the same way as men.
Right.
And I think all that's doing is it's hurting men and women. So I would hope that it gets to the point where like both sexes can be like, we both need to cover up and be respectful, because I don't want my brother or my sister in Christ to stumble.
Right.
And it to not be like, oh no, like I need to keep everything covered because I'm a female and I have more to cover. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So, do you think that guys and girls are equally confronted by RAs?
No. I don't see girls confronted as much as they should be, personally. So I'm not sure if people are confronted enough about dress code issues, but I know, like last year I saw a whole group of guys that were in chubbies in the front row at Convo. And like that's not class dress, and we have to be in class dress for Convo. Like, and no RA came up to them before Convo and said you need to go back to the dorm and change. Like that is inappropriate, especially for that time, for it being Convo and them being in the front row. And I didn't see anyone talk to them.
Right.
So I don't think anyone is confronted enough, but I think that overall girls are confronted more. I think girl RAs are more like they'd be the ones coming up to confront girls, because that's how it has to be. But I feel like they're more willing to go and confront a girl than guy RAs. I think guy RAs might just blow it off. Not blow it off, but don't see it as a big deal.
Right.
As big of a deal as if a girl is out of dress code.
Exactly. So, are there any ways that you've seen the gray areas in the Liberty Way improve? think it's more of a problem now that it's more ambiguous and not as clear?
At my hall meeting last week, I think it was last week, my RA was talking about it and saying that she's heard other RAs tell their girls that they're allowed to wear leggings if they wear like a long shirt to cover up their behind. But Whitney still's like, I don't think that's okay. So I don't think it necessarily changed. I just think that it puts more responsibility on the RA, and then it makes it difficult to wear anything, because even if you check with your RA saying, hey, like, is this in dress code? They could say, I mean, I think it's in dress code. But then another RA could come up to you and tell you that it's not. So, especially with dress code, I think that it can't be ambiguous. Because then you have girls coming up to you telling you you're out of dress code even if you're not. And there's no way to say, hey, my RA said I was fine. They're like, I don't care, I'm still going to write you up. Like, so I think especially with dress code, it can't be ambiguous. You need to lay down a law of what is allowed and what is not allowed, just because it takes all the confusion away. And it takes the possibility of mistakes. It dwindles that down. You'll never be mistake-free, but it'll take the guessing game out of it and take some of the responsibility off the RAs. Because that might be a reason they're not confronting girls or boys. To say, like, well, I mean, it's kind of, so maybe it's just a me thing,
Right.
so, like, I'll just let it go. Like, if it was, like, no yoga pants, it'd be fine.
Right.
But because it's like, it's like,
So have you personally been impacted by these changes that have been made overall in all areas?
yeah. I'm a female, so the dress code sort of impacts me. I don't really wear anything above, like, I don't wear, like, my shorts typically mid-thigh to knee, and I don't wear, the shortest skirt I own is to my knees, like, so dress code not terribly much, but, like, movies, being allowed to, like, watch movies that I'm actually interested in and I want to see or watch again is nice. And like the campus community, I am a prayer leader, so that stayed the same from last year. So, like, those changes have definitely impacted like my life. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you for interviewing.